everyone, I'm Jinyi Chen. I'm very happy to talk about our group report here. First, let me introduce my other two team members, Yao Xu and Qinghan Shi. The emergency we choose to analyze is the bushfire. We will analyze from the aspect of site, residents, climate, and the scenario, secondary research, and solutions. First, the site we choose is the Tennant Creek, which is located in the Northern Territory of Australia. From its history, it is not difficult to see that the development of this area mainly relies on resource-based economy such as mining and agriculture. From its population analysis, there are more than 3,000 permanent residents here, more than half of whom are Australian Aboriginals. In terms of language, English is the most used. In the census, the employment rate of this place is still very high, and the most common sectors of employment industry include state government administration, hospitals, primary education, and so on. Finally, the average income of Tennant Creek residents is only $650, which is significantly lower than the national average in Australia. This income gap reflects differences in geography, industry, education, and economic opportunities. From the satellite map, we can confirm more details about the location, so it is not difficult to see that basically all residents live in the central area of the Tennant Creek town. The town is located on the Stuart Highway in the central part of the Northern Territory, about 500 kilometers north of Alice Springs. The traditional landowners are the Batuatu Mangu people. The terrain of Tennant Creek is relatively flat, mainly composed of plains and low hills. From this picture, we can see the distribution of vegetation in the area. In terms of hydrology, due to drought, surface water bodies in the Tennant Creek area are scarce and often temporary. The main water supplies during drought is groundwater. The quality and availabilities of the groundwater may vary, and some aquifers contain high concentrations of minerals, which will affect water quality. These unstable water sources make it difficult to provide enough water resources in time. When a fire occurs, it may not be conducive to fire control. And local domestic water is more obtained from groundwater. This is a diagram of the acquisition of domestic water in the Tennant Creek area. Regarding the layout of the city, we can see that the main residence area of the city are mainly located to the east of Stuart Highway, and the industrial area are mainly located to the west. However, from the map, the road distribution of the city is connected to the outside world only by a few roads, which means that if these roads are destroyed, residents will be cut off from the outside world and trapped the town without access to supplies from other areas, which may cause a crisis. This is a big hidden danger in such emergency. Then I listed some attractions in the Tennant Creek area, which is relatively more primitive and attracts tourists with its unique natural landscape, rich mining history, and profound Aboriginal culture. Visitors can experience a variety of attractions and activities here. These attractions not only show the natural beauty of the area, but also provide profound cultural and historical education. For common local animals, the emergencies they face are frequent natural and man-made fires, climate change, water shortage, overgrazing, and so on. But there are some endangered animals that will be threatened in more aspects. Although the government and local residents have taken some mitigation measures, it seems that we need to do more to help them. In terms of plants, the vegetation in Tennant Creek mainly includes sparse grassland, shrubs, and some desert vegetation, which will become very dry in dry season and easily become fuel for bushfire.
For the indigenous people, Tennant Creek is an important social, cultural, and business center for many Aboriginal people of various language groups. The indigenous culture has four characteristics: rich diversity, deep land connections, oral traditions, and artist expression. Their culture is integrated, rich, and highly distinctive. The Northern Territory is home to many different races of Aboriginal people. Aboriginal culture is strong in Tennant Creek. The traditional land owners of this area are the Aboriginal Warrnambool people. These Aboriginal people have a long tradition in the visual arts, including bark paintings, sand carvings, wood carvings, and body direction. Some Aboriginal artists have since continued this tradition unchanged. It can be seen that indigenous people rely heavily on natural raw material for their artist creation, and the local natural environment is one of the most important factors influencing their artist creation. In polytheistic traditional indigenous societies, there are no collective, more or less institutionalistic activities. In actives, certain rights are excused in the distribution of social goods, the settlement of dispute, and the ancestry or maintenance of claim to position in the decision-making process. A balance must also be found between traditional culture and modern political strategies. Land occupations are a central place in the indigenous politics. About education, we can see the primary and secondary level of education accounts for a large percentage Aboriginal school enrollment, and retention rates at all levels are significantly lower than those of the rest of the population, with large urban-rural disparities. At the same time, Tennant Creek has some potential issues, such as assault, property damage, homelessness, and cultural difference between indigenous people. The most significant of all potential problems is crime against the person and the crime against the property. Tennant Creek belongs to the tropical semi-arid climate, which has mainly dry, warm season and wet, hot season in a year, and the average annual maximum temperature can reach 30 degrees. The area has a long dry season, a short rainy season, and low annual precipitation. Tennant Creek warming weather can also lead to some heat exposure problems, such as principles to heat-related illness, heart heat problems, and social economic impacts. Most Australians are familiar with the fire danger rate posted on roadsides across the country. The fire danger rates are based on the Forest Fire Danger Index. The Forest Fire Danger Index combines a measure of vegetation, dryness with air temperature, wind speed, and humidity. We can see that the Forest Fire Danger Index for this site is considerably higher in the spring and summer months of the year than the autumn and winter months. In recent years, temperature in the Northern Territory have risen each year while participation has decreased each year. The number of days with dangerous weather conditions for bushfire has increased in nearly all locations.
Now let's talk about our project. So what's the bushfire? An extreme bushfire to be a fire that exhibits deep or widespread flaming in an atmosphere environment. There are many factors that can help maintain or intensify large fires such as lightning and wind speed. In 2022, a serious bushfire broke out in Tennant Creek. On September 6, the fire began to break out near Tennant Creek and covering an area of about 400,000 hectares. In mid-September, the local government declared a state of emergency and the residents of this place were on high alert. In mid to late September, the main line of defense is the Gaze River, and the Berkeley Highway is closed intermittently. From late September to early October, the fire affected cultural sites and traditional lands of indigenous groups, and the government and non-profit organizations provide support to help affected communities recover. Although the fire is under control, recovery and reconstruction work is still ongoing. This is a diagram of a fire at that time. It can be seen that Tennant Creek was almost surrounded by fire, and the major highway was also affected. This is one of the potential factors, and this is dry weather. And it can be seen that there was no rain in this area from October to September in 2023. Strong winds are also a potential factor. Data shows that the wind speed in the area reached 20 kilometers per hour in August and September. At the same time, inability to accurately predict the wind direction has increased the difficulty for firefighting. The fire not only affected the daily lives of residents, but also affected their physical and mental health. Acting Commander Grace Spence said some people had been taken to Tennant Creek Hospital with the breathing problems due to bushfire smoke. The fire also affected the local economy and cultural venues. Any non-essential travel in the area should be postponed over the next 48 hours. If the fire is not spotted, trees will be burned and important sites in and around the countryside will be destroyed. The local ecology also suffers some damage, with vegetation and animal habitats destroyed by the fire. The local government has taken many measures to deal with emergency disaster, including fire trucks, water-bombing aircraft, and so on. And ambulance survivors are prepared to manage the safety of firefighters, and many emergency medicine need on the front line. So, why did we choose the 2023 Tennant Creek bushfire for our project? Because it faces complex challenges in many aspects, such as cultural protection, climate change, and spatial location. Although the fire was successfully extinguished, there were many deficiencies in the emergency response, such as influence crosses regional corporations and coordinations in the early stage, which affected the efficiency of the resource work. And in addition, the local community has low awareness and ability to respond to fire.
We looked for some existing designs for bushfire problems. The first is the interactive app. The New South Wales Rural Fire Service has also developed a software to help Australian residents and tourists understand nearby fire situation in real time. Through real-time fire information and timely alarm notifications, users can take measures in advance to avoid or reduce losses caused by fires.
Forest gradient is a system of sensors mounted on tree to detect changes in the air and alert local authorities in the event of a fire. Only a sensor is needed for every 6 hectares of forest, and the system can differentiate between different types of emissions, such as wildfire rise or vehicle emissions.
This is a bushfire emergency kit, which contains some necessary things for bushfire, including protection blanket, gloves, carbon filter face mask, and so on. And it is worth noting that it includes a radio in case there is no wireless network. This is a bushfire safety guide. People can use these guides to learn what they can do to protect themselves, their families, and their property. This project, called Bushfire Resilient Homes Toolkit, provides clearly guidance for homes owners and industries on how to prioritize activities and investment to make community more resilient to face future bushfire. This is an example of environmental design, where landscape design was combined with bushfire design principles when building a new home to cope the bushfire.
I plan to design an application for the region that integrates weather forecasts, bushfire warnings, emergency contact, and other functions to provide users with comprehensive bushfire prevention and emergency response support. It is also support real-time coordination of the rescue teams through advanced satellite positioning and motion trajectory technology to improve rescue efficiency and safety.
My plan is to design a drawer of monitoring sets suitable for many situations in the forest, such as monitoring forest fires and conducting forest patrols, especially in forest fire monitoring and early warning, using three-dimensional camera into the accurate position identification to achieve the image accuracy, intelligent analysis, intelligent warning in the forest area. The unmanned aerial vehicle can effectively reduce the risk of forest disasters and release the digital station, networking, visualization, and intelligence of forest fire prevention.
I plan to make an app that connects volunteer and skills workers with communities in need after devastating bushfires. People affected by the disaster can post their needs, and the system match volunteer and skills worker with them by location and skills matching. In the previous precedent, the resource bag was useful, but it still has some shortcomings. I plan to combine reflective strips with the backpack to make it more practical. The stress points of the backpack are increased from 2 straps to 3 to balance the load. So in conclusion, in this project research, we conducted an in-depth analysis of the 2023 Tennant Creek bushfire in terms of site climate, research culture, disaster impact, and emergency rescue. We also studied and analyzed existing design cases related to emergency bushfire in the fields of product, graphic, and landscape design, and so on. These design cases were developed using design methods and frameworks such as collaborative design framework, design anthropology theory, and sketch exchange. During this process, each of us developed preliminary design proposals based on our research. Here is our reference.